What if death gave you a second chance? 16 is about a woman who lives the fairy tale and then wakes up in a nightmare. And it's a thriller with a crime scene in the Great Pyramid. It's the story of a woman who needs to find who killed her husband and who pretty much killed her as well. She will go into the murky world of the traffic of antiquities. She will meet very interesting, very dark and twisted characters along the way, but that will allow her to discover who she really is. So the main character in the series is obviously the title character, 16. The beautiful young blonde girl, an orphan who lives an absolute fairy tale because she marries the dream guy, you know, the prince, a billionaire, and in a very lavish wedding. But she disappears just after the wedding. And she wakes up barely alive. She's in a chamber, a completely sealed chamber in the Great Pyramid of Egypt. And next to her is her prince, who's been murdered. To find who did this to her beautiful husband and to herself, that revenge will completely carry her and get her to try to find out who she actually is. So another character who is very important in the series is called Thaddeus. And Thaddeus, well, first of all, is a very handsome, but perhaps slightly toxic gentleman. He was 16's husband's best friend. And I would say that if there is a gray area between good and evil, this is where Thaddeus would be. He's got those beautiful gray eyes that just match this sort of mystery around him. He seems to be able to be in several places at once. He's quite intense, but he's also extremely knowledgeable on a lot of things, but he likes to keep secrets to himself. And then there's Max. Max is an architectural student. He's also obsessed about the Great Pyramid. He's been studying it since he was a child, and he's got very interesting theories about it that he's using to rescue 16 and to investigate what's going on. Now, I've got a soft spot for Max because he's got a pure heart and he's got great courage and he always has good intentions. But when you're up against what 16 is up against, those good intentions can get you into a whole lot of trouble. Florence got pink hair, she's got tattoos, she swears like a sailor, she's very funny. Now you would never tell that she actually comes from a very prestigious family, a very wealthy family. And Florence, because she's a journalist for BBC television, she's actually going to follow that investigation for 16 and what's going on in the Great Pyramid and what's happening around it, which is a lot of traffic of antiquities, and then there's the Tutankhamun mask. That's her dream job, to investigate. The problem with Florence, who's very likable, however, she's also very ambitious, and that ambition she needs to check, otherwise she's heading for some very dark times. Franklin Hunter is an ex-FBI 50-something African-American detective who will help 16 to investigate what's going on. And he knows the world of the traffic of antiquities intimately. So the thing about Franklin, though, is that he's not averse to breaking rules, and perhaps a bit too many rules. And he's got a special talent, which is that he can steal things very easily. You know, nobody sees. Smokes and mirrors, and that's Franklin. And there's one more character. Her name is Cybele. Now, you see, if I had an ace in my sleeve, that would be her. She is a very striking character. Her face is covered in a tattoo in the style of the Day of the Dead. So it's like you look at her and she's a beautiful woman, but her face is a skull. And she is Thaddeus, one of her best friends. She's always a mystery. And in fact, she only comes in book 2, but she will end up being a very, very important part of 16's life. So what inspired me to write 16? Well, I guess when I did, I must have had, you know, an angel looking over my shoulder and encouraging me to put that story out in the world. It's very special to me because it was actually inspired by my own experiences. I spent nearly 10 years working for BBC television. in documentaries, when I traveled around the world on archaeological sites, I got to see stuff that you would only see in a National Geographic magazine, and I wanted to write a story about that. So reading 16 is a bit like if you read a really exciting thriller and a mystery, but set within the pages of National Geographic magazine. So the spirit of those ancient civilizations, the reality of the traffic of antiquities, everything is in the book, and it's designed so that the reader would really sort of escape and yet learn about those amazing civilizations. And for me that was really important. And of course on the edge of that vision, you know, there's lots of sort of paranormal things going on. But that was really important for me to tell a story of a beautiful young woman who is lost and yet learns who she is.